To be a woman in Brazil is dangerous and it hurts. Only in 2020, one woman was a victim of femicide every 7 hours. We are not a homogeneous group, and therefore our struggles have differences. But being a woman in Brazil, it is to understand that no one else will fight for our right to be self-sufficient. Our voices are only heard when there is the echo of thousands of others along with it. If I was the leader of Brazil, I would guarantee women public policies. It is necessary to ensure quality education, healthcare, and social justice. When I talk about guaranteeing education, it goes far beyond reading and writing. It is in the sense of giving voice, empowerment, and self-worth.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the second panel of the Women's Forum G20 in Milan. I'm Sandrine Chauvin. I'm the editor-in-chief at LinkedIn for EMEA and Latin America. As you all know, the Women's Forum is passionate about supporting women in STEM skills and inspiring young girls to follow in their footsteps. Today, these skills are crucial and will become even more fundamental in the future. But statistics clearly show that a persistent gender gap exists at all levels as a result of widespread stereotypes. Let me highlight some LinkedIn data put for the World Economic Forum. The current share of women in cloud computing is 14.2%. These roles, cloud computing, AI, data, engineering, are precisely the roles that are crucial in shaping all aspects of our life and how it is deployed in the world. And it's happening now. One of the clear consequences of the pandemic is the rapid transformation and the digital transformation in all aspects of our life. We need women's voices. We need women perspectives represented at this formative stage. And this starts with women in STEM. During this panel, we'll discuss how we can build a STEM identity from primary school onwards to make sure women are playing a key role in this transformation. What are the best practices to attract girls to STEM studies? How can government and businesses scale up their best practices? How can we, as business leaders, tackle gender bias? To answer this question, I'd like to welcome and to introduce our panelists. They are all four champions of girls in STEM, starting to my direct left, Mariya Gabriel, European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, Youth and Sport. Welcome. Thank you. Gian Maria Grospietro, Chairman of Intesa San Paolo. You're also serving as a member of the Executive Committee of the Italian Banking Association and as a member of the Corporate Governance Committee of Borsa Italiana. Welcome.
Thank you.
Bernadette Bevacqua, CEO and President of Henkel Italy. You're also a member of the Board of Directors of UPA, member of the General Council of Federchimica, and of the Board of Directors of the Italian-German Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Donatella Ciuto, Executive Vice Rector at Politecnico di Milano, and thanks for welcoming us in your campus. I'd like to kick off the discussion with you, Mariya Gabriel, and I'm gonna make it a little broad by asking you to sum up how far we're coming when it comes to girls in STEM right now in Europe, and what best practices you're already noticing in Europe.
Well, first of all, that's a great honor for me to be here, and I would like particularly to thank Chiara Corazza. She's a role model for me. That what I learned from her is that there is no difficulties, there is opportunities, and we have to talk about women not as victims and only with negative narrative, but to talk about them as leaders and as visionaries. So for me, it's a great pleasure. After, I don't want to insist on all the negative figures that we have in Europe. It's true. It's within my portfolio, we have 46% of women as PhD graduates, but we have only 26% women rectors of universities. When we talk about ICT sector, there is only 17% of women, and I would like to pay particular attention to women-led companies because there is only 6% of our startups that are women with women founders, and there is only 16 where we have a women and men. And when we talk about venture capital, here we have a lot of companies, only 1% of the venture capital investment is going to women-led companies. So we need definitely to change this. That's why from our side, as European Commission, we try really to act at different levels, because my personal view is that we don't need big strategies. We need small actions with added value, and we need critical mass of those actions, like what's happened this morning with the concrete engagement of these companies. And first, for me, it passes by our participation in events like this one. There is a lot of different conferences all over Europe. And in 2018, I decided to apply a principle, no women, no panel. I don't accept an invitation to participate in an event where we are talking about artificial intelligence, new technologies, and I'm the only one woman. And believe me, when you send an answer to the organizers, what is the reason of your no, 3 hours later, they suddenly discover that there is a lot of women experts in these fields. So I think that here, women and men, we can all send this message. After, in the European Commission, I'm responsible for the biggest in the world program for investment in research and innovation. It's 95 billion euros. And what we decided this time for the new period, 21-27, is to integrate the gender equality plus for every single company, research institute, universities that are asking for public funding to be an eligibility criterion. So now, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants in this Horizon Europe program for the next period, that will be an obligation to have a gender equality plan and to integrate the gender dimension in scientific research. Do you know that only in 1% of our scientific publications, gender dimension is integrated? The third thing for me is that we need more women innovators. And that's why we have now the European Innovation Council. It's our ambition to have a unicorn factory, because as Europe, we are very good for startups, but we need to scale. We need to help them at this critical moment where they are creating jobs, they are creating markets. What I discovered in March 22 is that European Innovation Council has founded only 7-8 women-led companies. What we decided with my team is at least to have 25% of women accessing to interviews. Excellence merit will be always the core principle. In 5 months, we passed from 8 to 29% of women-led companies funded by EIC. Now the next stage is 40%. That was said this morning. We need clear targets. Okay, that's not the miracle solution, but that's a necessary phase. And here I would like to pay a lot of attention when we talk about companies, when we talk about investors, always to pay attention to evaluators of projects. We need 50% of women as evaluators, knowing the companies, the fields, and the regions. And final example, when we talk about girls in STEM, I have always this example in mind. When we made an analysis, more than 90% of European girls between 9 and 10 years old are interested on ICT, information and communication technologies. But from 1,000 graduates, there it's only 24 women in ICT and only 6 are making career. So something happened between these two phases, and that's why I support first projects like STEMkey with Chiara Corazza, and that's why now we decided to have 2 main actions. With the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, we decided to offer training by 24 to 40,000 girls in artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data. And now we have a new project, Girls Go Circular, and I will talk again, that will be one of my plea to scale this project. 50,000 girls for the next 7 years in circular economy, but here in a multidisciplinary approach. Final point, we need visibility. We need more role models, and I'm talking here not only about big prices and about big CEOs and companies. We need to promote simple people that on the ground are making a difference. I made one campaign, European Women for Future. Every week, I gave visibility to simple teacher, innovator, sportist in Europe, and I must say that there were a lot of people asking me, why are you promoting these people? Because these people are making a difference and are giving benefits for regions, for companies, for us as Europe. So I think that maybe it's really time to organize something more global and to promote more girls, more women in STEM, but again, by giving visibility to all those that actually are silent or that are known in a very close circles.
So Mariya and Gabriel said we need clear targets, we need role models. John Mariya, what does that mean for companies? What kind of initiative are you taking to build these role models and clear targets?
Well, what we have to do comes from the external challenges. And the external challenges are, I would say, the most important is the climate change. It is terrible. It is terrible what is going on, and it's terrible the difficulty of stopping it or inverting it. And science will be crucial. Science, we have seen with the pandemic. Science, and I mean basic science research, publicly funded, which produced new knowledge. From new knowledge, we had innovation. Innovation is transforming knowledge in something that works. And then you have to produce, and then you have to distribute. You need a number of capacities, of professional capacities. And of course, women are essential. Let me come to the bank. We have nearly 52% of women in our personnel. But if you look at, not at the amount, total amount, but you look for levels, you see that when levels go to the highest one, the percentage of women decreases. In the board, I am the chairman of the board, we have only 37% of women. But at the chief executive level, we have a very low percentage of women. So one of the problems is that you have not enough managerial experience. I'm talking, of course, of a company. And in the company, managerial experience and ability is essential. So we decided to increase the basket of women which have professional experience, and we are confident on their capacities there. We decided that it was essential to appoint some women at the top. And so we put a woman in the most challenging position, and she is here. It is the Chief Operating Officer. That means that 100,000 positions, 100,000 people are managed by her. But we have special capacities which are in the hands of women. The legal system, she is here. And in ICT, we are not at the top, not yet at the top, but we are increasing the presence of women. And that is essential because artificial intelligence will be one of the main tools for fighting, for instance, money laundering. But on the other side will be essential for serving customers. So we have a lot of positions where women are important. We are increasing the number. But what is important is as we are talking with, is to attract girls. Because we have to start from the secondary school and then to the university. And we cooperate with 60 universities in Italy, Politecnico di Milano. Of course, we have a program which is called Girls at Polimi. That means Politecnico di Milano. How can you attract? From one side, giving grants, allowing grants. On the other side, offering possible engagements in the bank for studying, for partnership, for a position, for a stable position. What we need, I think, but maybe we can talk after, is the possibility of prospecting to young girls a future life with models of women's success, which is attractive.
And I'd love to hear from you, Bernadette. What does it mean for you? What's your definition of a role model? Because that's something we heard from Mariya, that's something we heard from John Mariya. What does that mean, and what does that mean also in your company, in your industry?
First of all, good afternoon to all of you. It's really a big honor to be here, and I'm really pleased and thankful to Chiara and all the organization for this invitation, because I'm fully aware how urgent is the topic of women leadership and empowerment, and we need to step up now. I would like to share my personal experience, personal professional experience, when they nominated me president and CEO of Henkel Italy. The board member came to me and they said, okay, from tomorrow, despite you are in the company since 15 years, from tomorrow all employees will look at you differently. How you will drink a coffee, how you will walk into the building, how you will go to a working session. And of course, apart the pressure and the anxiety put on me, like, oh my God, so I should really think of it, then I understood why, because role modeling is key. Role modeling for me is especially something or someone who inspires me to show the best version of me. What does it mean, the best version of me? That should be authentic, passionate, and really transparent to the people. And of course, inspiration is key, especially for young people. So I think coming back to the real topic of today, and we are talking about STEM, at Henkel, first of all, we are aiming to become a role model in terms of diversity and inclusion. We already have a women's share in management of 37%, and the goal, and you know, in Germany, when we give a goal, we reach it. The goal for next year is to reach 40% of women's share. But when I mean 40%, it's not only on management, on business, but in all departments, meaning R&D, engineering, packaging, production side. So immediately the link with STEM is clear. For us, STEM discipline and STEM studies are key to succeed business and economically. And we cannot hide ourselves. We talk a lot this morning, and we can talk all day long. The gender bias and gap that we have are really terrific on that. So we have to step up now to really close the gap as much as possible. So we listen to different independent studies that show us that if kids approach science, technology during the primary school, so during the childhood, are more time likely to approach a STEM career. So what we did, this was the base of our initiative in Henkel 10 years ago. It's what is called, sorry for my German, I'm not German, I'm Italian, it's Forschwelter. That means researcher's lab, just to researcher word. For us it's ricerca mondo, in Italian it's even easier. What does it mean? We went to the primary school really to let the kids enjoy the science and the technology, experimenting and doing lab. This because, as you can imagine, during the childhood, at least, stereotypes are not there. So you immediately make them love the science and the STEM disciplines. But still there is a lot to do, despite we will talk a bit later how to scale it up. But despite we did already a lot, but it's only Henkel and it's not enough. So I'm a strongly believer that we have really to invest and support girls from the primary school onwards up to secondary and then university, and then of course during the job, but really we have to destroy and dismantle the bias at the beginning of their life, because knowledge and competence has no gender. Thank you.
So Donatella, we understood that everything is starting with education. And I want to raise a point that we discussed when we were preparing this panel, because you said something that struck me. Many, or at least some of the courses in science, very specific, you are below 10% of women in those courses. So what does that mean? Like, do young women feel like, yes, that's great, but at the end, that's not for me? And then how can we create this envy needed to make sure that we are beyond 10% and maybe at some point at 40 or 50%?
Yes, thank you. As Politecnico is the first technical university in Italy, and we have been the first one to identify gender policies at all levels as a key strategic issue. And we have it in our strategic plan with clear key performance indicator, one of which is to reduce the number of courses which are not on parity in terms of gender. Parity means 40-60, not exactly 50-50. But, and we have been doing actions to do that, both action in terms of attracting, starting from schools, both at primary schools with programs, festivals, opening our labs and making things for kids and their family on the weekends, and then following up to the schools, higher level schools, with the tech camps, which are summer schools that we organize and for which we give scholarship to students who cannot afford it for 1 week to work on computer science, robotics, and drones and automation in general in order to make them passionate, so hands-on. Some theory, but mostly hands-on, and make sure they know what is going to happen. And also trying to do a lot of dissemination in terms of role modeling, so showing girls that have done engineering and what kinds of profession and life they have now, younger generation than me, so more nearer to the girls today, obviously through YouTube, Instagram, so all this media that can reach everybody. And the other part in terms of attraction is also trying to help girls which are not in the Milan area especially, but that are willing to go towards a scientific, technical university, to offer them the possibility to be supported during their course of study. And we did this with our funds, but also with companies that have worked. Girls at Polimi is a program which Banca Intesa has gently decided to support, which is, it's an engagement for them. I mean, they also have to provide mentorship, to have to follow the students, provide possibilities in terms of contact to make sure that they identify the possibility of them having a career in those companies. So we work with the companies also to provide a way to accompany the girls towards a full professional development, and also to be more self-confident when they approach the companies to which they will work, because otherwise the salary gap starts since the beginning. We have a evaluation that shows that after 1 year of work, there is already a gender gap in terms of pay gap.
How much is it?
800, 1,000 euro already on yearly gross salary. So, which is not, I mean, it's the first year, I'm not saying. And this is inexplicable from my side, obviously. The other thing we do is to try to develop not only the students, but also the researchers, because also we need to fill the pipeline for the researchers. We started also with a gender gap in terms of in research. And to have role models, we need researchers to show the fact. And we support girls in all their careers since the PhD. And we support in case they have maternity. We provide for them the nursery, and we pay for them for the nursery in case they have children, but also for the fathers, not only for the mothers. We support them in terms of research funds for developing, restarting after maternity leave if they are researchers, so that they will be able to continue their career without having this stop that prevents them to pursue and go further.
So there is a lot of best practices. We hear that today. So now how we can accelerate, can we scale basically those best practices? How can we go further, Mariya?
Well, I think that the first positive signal is that we have this conference, and that's exactly what we need. It's to join efforts, to cooperate, and really to scale some of the already existing good practices. On my side, I would like to touch an issue. I think that if you'd like to scale some of these topics related to more girls in STEM, we have to talk to teachers. They have a crucial role to play. And we are here, public institutions, companies. I think that we have really to offer to our teachers more information, more learning materials in order to convince our young girls that there is a perspective for them. And I'm saying that especially because 50% of all our European teachers said that during the crisis, the experience with new technologies was their first experience with new technologies. And we are expecting these people passing so much time to inspire our girls and to motivate them. The second, I think that we need to work closely with regions. Definitely we need to build local and regional ecosystems, and after to see how we can connect them. Because here we can on one side really pay attention to the identity, to the trajectories, to the experiences, and at the same time to tackle global challenges. I think that we must continue to say, together we are tackling a global challenge, but solutions are local, and that's why we need to work more closely with our regions. The third thing is really to change our approach. We need a challenge-based approach. I talk about this project, Girls Go Circular. Here we would like to offer training for 50,000 girls from 14 to 18 in the field of circular economy. But it's not only one single. The first good thing is that this project adds real-world context to STEM fields, because they have different learning modules on concrete topics, all related to circular economy. And that's going from sustainable fashion to plastic to electronic devices. At the same time, here, keywords, accessibility. If you'd like to scale some of our extraordinary projects, we need to provide more accessibility to every single individual learner or region. And finally, for me, what is really important is this cooperation with the private sector. No one will achieve these ambitions alone. We need to cooperate with the private sector, especially because in that case we can use different facilities. For example, in this project, Girls Go Circular, we have at our disposal 60 innovation hubs all over Europe. But companies are those that can fulfill with content these innovation hubs in order to provide concrete deliverables, competencies, and to attract more girls. Final point, I think that what is really important now is to seize some new wave of innovations that we are witnessing, because we all know that actually there is this fourth wave of innovation where we are at the frontier of science and other sources of innovation that's not anymore coming only from research lab, that's coming from university, that's coming from civil society, and that's why we decided, for example, as European Union, to finance 50 deep tech women-led companies in order really to give them support. And here's something special. If you'd like to scale some of the good practices, we have really to connect funding with mentoring and coaching, because we have extraordinary examples in all these different fields. I think that it's really time to connect the different networks, mentors from one program be able to provide support to other participants. And when we talk about funding, always to talk about advices, mentoring, and coaching. I think that we need somehow not only to change the pace, but to change our approach and to diversify our tools to achieve them, because actually we are witnessing diverse sources of opportunities for us to scale and to achieve better results.
We need local ecosystem, and part of the ecosystem is the private sector, like you said. Mariya, what companies can do to build on this partnership and to partner with education or private sector to go to the next level?
Well, I think that, first of all, we have to give examples. And to begin with the inside of the company. Sometimes people who are in command in this time have been accused of making only blah, blah, blah. A company has to act. And if we want to raise the percentage of women in the highest level of the organization, we have to make this as a goal. And for the company, for a company, a goal means something that, first of all, is expressed at the highest level, from the board of directors. Secondarily, that is fixed in a document, the code of ethics, the gender equality, equilibrium is in the codex. And then, of course, you have to translate this into a push to people who are acting. That is bonuses. And we have introduced a 10% of the bonus system for the highest level and the middle high level of our managers. That means 1,200 managers who have a 10% of their bonus system, which is linked to the ability of promoting female talent. But the ability means results, means numbers. Thank you. And this brings real results. This brings real changes. This gives the possibility of discover talents which are inexpressed and maybe persons who don't feel able to offer themselves, but if they are requested, then they can flourish. But the other aspect is that you have to offer to the young girls, I mean the girls who are outside the company, starting from the schools, examples that they could admire and try to enter in the same positions. And there are a number of exceptional women that can be proposed as examples. I would only take some names in STEM. For instance, Ada Lovelace, the mathematician, which cooperated with Charles Babbage in computing, before the computers. Or Madame Curie, who was the first person to be awarded a Nobel Prize in 2 different disciplines, physics and chemistry. And to come to our days, Samantha Cristoforetti, who is an engineer, an astronaut, who has been on the International Space Station and is going to fly again in the next months as a commander of the International Station. So these are examples.
Strong role model. Bernadette, how can we scale those best practices in your opinion?
I mean, this morning during our CEO Champions, I heard really a nice statement that the big challenge in diversity and inclusion is not to have new ideas, but to make concretely in execution. And this is a clear example. We all have a lot of best practice, but we need to scale up to make really a big momentum for women and women in STEM in this case. Our initiative, coming back to Ricerca Mondo researcher word, was already designed to be scaled up. It touched more than 70,000 students around the globe, 17 countries, and nowadays we are in Dubai. But still, it's not enough. It's just Henkel with some primary school. So I have 2 concrete proposals how to scale up this initiative. First of all, of course, as I said, we need to collaborate with secondary school and university, because I think we have really to follow the young girl and young women into really a STEM career path from the beginning, from the primary onwards. And for sure, today I'm honored to be seated by Donatella as Executive Vice President of, Vice Rector of Polytechnic of Milano. And this, I hope, will be just a first step how private sector could collaborate really with the university, secondary school to scale it up. Second, that is not an alternative, but just adding up, for sure it's collaborating with institutions. Institutions everywhere are responsible for education, nationally and internationally. And our initiative could be just a project that could be inserted in a standard program at school to elevate the quality and really to integrate the STEM disciplines in the standard school program. And for sure, Mariya Gabriel already elaborated on that, and I'm sure we will do a lot of stuff together.
And I'm conscious time is going fast, so I'm going to wrap it up. And to wrap it up, I would love to ask each of you a clear one call to action, because you said we need to have clear targets. So keep it short and straightforward. Donatella, what would be your call to action?
Break the spell. That means try to overcome stereotype biases inside and outside, especially implicit biases, because there are. And so all the action we do and the investment we made in our gender equality plan that Mariya was talking about, we already had it from 2018, we did our new one. We are committing 5 million euros over the next 3 years in action towards gender parity at all levels, from students to researchers. So this commitment, which is a monetary commitment, which is the most important thing, especially for a governing body which has to approve it in the next month, hopefully. This is a strong assertion that we want to break the spell.
Bernadette, to attract girls in STEM, what's your one call to action?
As I said, for me, education should be our first priority, and I think now the call to action is like private sector, industry, education, and institutions should sit together and make really a big momentum all together, with budget for sure, but also with dedicated resources, because only together we can really raise up the attention and make a big momentum. And I hope this forum is really the right place to make it possible.
John, Mariya?
I think that we could also use the capacity of women in being examples. We have 100 of our female managers which go to the schools and show themselves as women which have power, we have good professional positions, and we, that have a life of satisfaction. That gives the sense that women can, and can win.
Yes, we can. That's the message, right? Mariya?
Well, I think that it's clear that for me what is important is to lead by example, joining words to actions, and definitely more support for women innovators. That's why my call for action is that we talk a lot about STEM, and we have to talk too about STEAM. That's why I think that we have to add creativity and arts to this STEM approach, because that can provide meaning for our girls, that can keep them mobilized, and here we are excellent, and I think that in the room we have excellent examples, so I think that that will be another motivation, especially because we are talking about Green Deal, we are talking about digitalization, we are talking about New European Bauhaus, only with the creativity of women, by really helping them to unlock all their potential, and that's the creativity and the art to be a woman, we can achieve these results, and that's my plea. Thank you.
Hearing this panel, I feel pretty optimistic, I have to say, because I heard you, and what I learned is basically we don't need new ideas. We have them. We have the best practices, and you're a really good example of those. But we need clear targets. We need clear role models to inspire young women and to attract them to the STEM skills as well. And the third thing is we need also a commitment from the private industry to partner with the public sector as well. So that's my takeaways. Thanks very, very much. And I hope when we will meet and when Chiara on the Women's Forum will invite me again, we will look at it and we will feel really proud of what we achieved because we will have changed the world for a more equitable world with women. Thanks everyone for attending. Thank you.
Ok,
merci.
On va pas refuser.
Ok, c'est pas trop.